So I've been experimenting with a new way of working with Cursor, and it's based on a method I learned from this book called The AI-Driven Leader. And basically, you kind of have a conversation with the AI, and so it's not just with Cursor, with any AI, and then you work with it. So this app, basically different cities and then different population densities and where the people are, and then you can zoom in to different areas and see. And so this is a work in progress, and this part is not fully working yet. But this is what I've kind of achieved in about an hour using this method. And so it shows the different traffic metrics and things like that, safety and accessibility metrics. It's getting all of this data from using Google Maps API and Google Places API. And then you can put in a specific city in here too. And then so it will show that. There you go. And again, you can zoom in and see the density. And so again, the data is there's some bugs in here that still need to be worked out. And but again, it shows different metrics here and things like that. And yeah, how I did this, I explained that process in a video that will just run right after this video, so I'll attach it. And so long story short, you have a conversation with the AI. And so let me bring Cursor back into this window here. And then, you obviously do all the usual bug fixes and things like that, but then also show, you ask it questions, and then it ask you questions. So the prompt I gave was, things are getting started, ask me at least 10 questions about the results I'm trying to achieve. So then it asked me those questions, and then I answered all of those. And so I went through that process a few times. And then also, with the usual bug fixes and debug in the middle that we are all used to doing with Cursor. And then again, in about 60 minutes, this app was made using this method. So like basically the big difference is, instead of kind of one small feature at a time, you're like literally just kind of getting it to do pretty big things in one go. And then now I can, and it's like some really useful information, right? Like there's some accessibility issues here, right? And some improvements need to be made here. That's just for another city. And yeah, so some stuff need to be improved, and bus route, list speed, and congestion, and all this stuff. Like it's pretty crazy that it was able to gather this information and like make this. Yeah. All right. So I'll plug in the how-to video right after this. So basically I've done a bit of prep. So I have Google Map API keys and Google Maps ID from a previous experiment. And so I want to start a new experiment. And basically this experiment is to kind of show like a new, not new, but a different way of working with Cursor. And it's something I learned from this book called The AI-Driven Leader. And so let's try it out. So it's been working with, I've been having some success with it. So basically the idea is you do a decent amount of planning and prepping with AI before you kind of get it to do things. So we'll just try it out. I've done some prep ahead of time. So basically I want to make an app. And so it will become apparent what kind of app as I'm doing it. So I'm going to start speaking to Cursor. I'm just using the built-in Mac dictation. Similar features are available in Windows too. So I want to build an app. So I want to build an app that can show mobility data around a city, and the user should be able to pick the city, period. The app should be able to show the number of people or general idea of number of people visiting particular cultural sites. So for example, the Prophet's Mosque in Medina or the Taj Mahal in Agra, period. We also want to be able to see how fast people are walking at night and how many people are walking at night relative to daytime, to get an idea of how safe people feel at night. Period. We also want to be able to see a heartbeat of a city, how many people are going in and out of the city. We also want to be able to see a heartbeat of a city and to be able to see via heat maps where the crowds are and how many people are going in and out of the city, period. The app is meant to be used by city planners and city administrators to improve the quality of life in their city, period. So it misspelled profit. So I'm just gonna fix that. And this dictation does some weird things sometimes, so we'll just do that, fix that. Okay. I want to use Google Maps API and Google Maps ID to get this data and visualize this data, period. I understand that Google Maps does not show individual data, and that's okay. For city planner purposes, we only need high-level aggregate data anyways, period. We want to be able to see high-level where the crowds are and how that changes over time, and where the hotspots are using a heat map, period. Ask me at least 10 questions about the app before starting to build it, period. The app should be built using Next.js. So now I was thinking, so here's a key part. So basically, like, it you kind of like have a conversation. And so basically the book says to use AI like a thought partner. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. And it does a good job of asking the right questions, and then it will not ask all the questions, and then it might prompt you to think about other options and things like that. And then when you have this, when you have Cursor in the agent mode, then it does fun stuff like searching Google and finding some answers for you. And so while it's searching, I can start answering some of these questions. Yeah. So basically, like I don't have to keep waiting for Cursor to do things, and sometimes it can take a little while to do things, and that's okay. And so I can also be working while Cursor is also working. So the app should be able to work for any city around the world, but let's make the default list include Vancouver, Medina, Delhi, and Lahore. The app should allow user to show data going back a week, a month, and a year, and a custom time range. The app should be able to allow user to just click on a place in the map, so we don't need a drop down. So for those using Mac, the default shortcut for enabling dictation is pressing Control twice. I don't have access to mobility data, I want to just get the data, whatever we can get from Google Places API and any other Google services. For the city heartbeat, I want to be able to, in heat maps, the crowd densities going in and out of a city. Let's just stick to heat maps to start. I don't know why I keep hearing heat maps. Let's keep this publicly accessible to start. Let's skip these type of features for now. This will be used on desktop computers. Should be able to zoom into neighborhood level. I guess I have to click. I'm just gonna copy this so that I don't lose it. I don't want to send it this before it finishes doing whatever it's doing here. Sometimes it does get stuck. I'm just gonna stop it. Okay, and send it to see what happens. So now I'm just following the prompts that the Cursor agent is doing. So now I'm gonna do npm install, and it looks like it already did that ahead of time. So npm run dev, and let's see what the results are. Okay, that seems to be really slow. Right, so let's open the console and see what errors we're getting. And what we'll do is stop the app because it's just like slowing down the computer like crazy. And copy and paste some of the stuff. So what I'm trying to do is copy and paste some of these errors. And I'll also close this guy because it's just like eating up the CPU like crazy. Oh, I'm still doing some changes in the background. Oh no, actually it's done. Okay. It was just waiting for me to hit that to do npm run dev. Okay. Alright. So search box, which should allow me to pick the cities instead of just a static list of cities, period. The performance of the application is very slow, period. There should be a slider which should allow me to show the movement of crowd across time as I move the slider along. The slider should match the value of the time period chosen. That's what I mean to say actually. The slider should always show time in local time. Should show time in local time, okay? The first version seemed to be showing crowd movement animation, which it shouldn't do by default. It should only do it when the slider is moved along. Also, the crowd data appeared well before the map itself, and the map was really slow to display. So we need to fix performance issues. So let's see what it does. So while it's doing this, I'm gonna get the next prompt ready. Okay. It's been a great start to the app, and it looks good, and the features are off to a good start, period. We really want to focus on the city administrator and city official persona so that they're able to use the app to see mobility data in aggregate in their city and use that data to improve quality of life in relation to walking and biking and driving around the city, period. Ask me at least 10 more questions regarding features and requirements relating to the app. Click accept and npm dev. So we're seeing this error. So what I'll do is I'll give it the next prompt and the error at the same time. So there's a little bit of less back and forth error in the console as well. Okay. All of these metrics sound good. Yes, please. Yes, definitely. That would be very useful. We can skip this feature for now. Let's also skip this. If this info is available from Google Maps API, then yes, otherwise leave it. Yes, definitely. Let's skip this for now. Skip this feature. Skip this feature. whatever level of data is available from Google Maps API will meet our privacy needs. Let's skip this feature for now. It won't work while it's adding features, or if it does work, it will work poorly, but let's try it anyways. So let's let it do its magic and then we'll... All right, so now let's see how things are looking. Sort of starts to load and then we're seeing some errors. Okay, and there are 2 errors. So we'll make sure to copy and paste both of them. All right, my computer is spinning up a lot, so I'm gonna stop this app while it's being refreshed by Cursor. Let's try this again. Hey, look, things are looking better. Okay, so let's do past week with the slider that we asked for. So showing some data. It's kind of working, right? So let's try it again now. So glitchy a little bit. Let's just refresh browser, go to the hard, zoom in. I'm trying to zoom in, but it's very slow. Okay, could not load data. Let's try delete. Sometimes it's showing some data. Let's do a custom range. A bunch of things are not working, but it's an improvement. So let's try Toronto. It's not showing anything here either. So we're seeing a bunch of errors. This error keeps repeating. So let's see if we can get Cursor to fix that. So I think I'll stop the recording here. So this was basically to give you an idea of, what kind of is possible. And so this is like a pretty impressive app that was made in 30 minutes and it's not working, lots of things to be fixed. But it's not bad for 30 minutes of prompts into Cursor. So it's nice that it has this thing at the bottom left which shows these errors. So I don't even have to go into the console. Although I will still use the console to see additional errors. Yeah, okay. So now I'll just continue working on it. So I've built a similar app before and I just decided to rebuild it using this new prompting method. And in half hour now, using this new prompting method by making it ask me questions, giving it detailed kind of requirements to begin with, things like that. I have gotten much farther along in half hour than I did in the previous, about 10 to 15 hours that I've spent on the previous version. So basically, something worth considering. Enjoy.